All right, Smack Talk Nation. Welcome to another episode of Mama Smell Them Funky Ribs, show dedicated to old school Grudge and the return of Grudge School. You know, like those old garages and pool halls and spots where all the guys used to collect and congregate and talk about grudge racing and teach the young fellows coming up how to do this thing. So anyway, those things no longer exist. So this is the new Grudge School. We going digital now, y'all. We going digital. All right. So I've been promising to do the next episode of how to do grudge math, and this is it. So let me cut on some light because I look like I'm in the boom boom room or some shit. I don't know what it is, but let me turn some of these damn lights off. And right, okay. So, how to do grudge math? Now, again, you're talking about grudge racing versus drag racing. It is those two motorsports are worlds apart. You know, every grudge race is a drag race, but not every drag race is a grudge race. The difference between grudge racing and drag racing, one more time, is the money, math, and mystery. It's a whole different world when you betting your own money. It's a whole different world. You got to know how to gamble. You got to know how to gamble. You got to know how to do good gambling. You know, there's bad gambling, there's good gambling. We'll talk about that down the road. But money, and that's the math and the mystery. We'll get to those. But today we're on the math. We're on the math. The second facet. You got to have all three to have a grudge race: money, math, and mystery. And so I believe one of the biggest pieces missing today is that a lot of guys don't know how to do grudge math. Okay, so that's an easy fix. You know, I'm gonna tell you the formula how to do grudge math. It's x minus y equals z. It's real easy. X is your speed, your ET. Y is the other guy's ET, and Z is the spot that's gonna make it competitive. You know, the spot, and a spot is achieved by a couple of different things. What's up, Bats Boys Racing? Appreciate you for joining us tonight. Thank you very much. So that's the grudge formula. X minus Y equals Z. X is your ET. Y is his ET. And when you take the difference between those, what is it that's going to make it competitive for both sides? Okay, so that's the basics, but let's go into specifics now. Okay, when you are doing grudge math, three considerations, okay? Let me tell you what they are. I call them the three C's. The three C's. C is in Charlie. Okay. Number one, a bunch of stuff jumping on my screen here. So the three C's. The first C is combination, the car's combination. What combination are we dealing with? The second C is characters. Who are the cast of characters that surround the car, that bet on the car, tune the car, drive the car, cast of characters around the car? And the third thing is the competitive calculation. What spot, what steps, the two of them get together, what spot, what steps are going to make it competitive for both sides. Attractive. I say all the time, the easiest way to see what I'm talking about there is we know why the pro mod wants to race the bicycle, but why would the bicycle want to race the pro mod? Okay, good deal. So here it is. The first C, the combination. We talked a little bit about it before in episode 3. We talked about combinations. What are certain combinations capable of? Okay. What are certain combinations capable of? We told you all about is that you got to go do your homework on that. I can't sit here and tell you what every combination is capable of, but you got to know. You got somebody got a small block, all steel, all glass. You got to know what that car is capable of. On 28s or whatever, you got to know certain basic things about a car, and you should be able to come up with a basic combination, a basic ET that the car is capable of. Most cars in that that sit like that should be able to go. Most cars with that combination should be able to go X, Y, Z, ET. Right? So much go a certain ET. Okay, after you find out, after you do some studying and you're pretty good at combinations, we told you how to do that. You get those combinations from the drag race world, from your own car, from other people's car that you're cool with. People always tell you about guys for some reason like to brag about their shit. This is the wrong sport to brag about your shit, because we're going to get into the mystery part. You can say basics. Yeah, I got a small block, stock block on 28s. You can say I got that, but you don't want to start saying all kind of specific other things. All right. So if you like to brag, but understand people like to brag, so it's easy to get information about what combinations go. And then you have all these bracket guys. You have all these guys that run time or run shootouts. They like to brag about their stuff and what their car can run. That's drag racing. They like to brag about it. Grudge racing is just the opposite. You're supposed to be completely silent, completely still, mysterious about your joint. Okay. So after you know how to get a basic combination, you say, okay, the Nasty Boys can run a 650 with that small block. That's what I get. This is all hypothetical. This is nothing real. I don't know what they can run with their car. All right, but they can run 650 with their small block, or we can say Salt and Pepper can run 650 his small block, or whatever. But or Plum Crazy or COVID 20, whoever you want to name. But anyway, that's how fast I figure that combination can go. Next thing you do is look at who's around the car. Look at who owns that combination. Does this guy got money? Does he have access to resources? Who's doing the tuning? Do he know what the hell he doing? Is he one of those guys who you go to the mechanic and pick your car up? It's running like a fine-tuned machine, and you got to go home and turn a bolt on the carburetor, do something, check the heads, gap the plugs. You got to do something to say like you did it. You made the car run that fast. Say fuck the whole thing up. You got one of those guys, or you got this top of the line guy that know. See, you got two kinds of guys, two kinds of cast of characters. You got one cast that can take that 650 car we just spoke about and make it a 750. You got another group of guys take that same combination we talked about, that 650 combination, and take it and they can make it go 630 or 40 or whatever. You get the point. All right. But the point is that you have to identify that. So when you say this combination could go 650, that's the first C, the car's combination. This cast of characters can make that car go faster or slower. You add that into the combination of tenth or two or whatever you want to add into that combination. It's not going to be that much different than whatever the combination can go. No matter who's got it, you might get 2 or 3 tenths faster with that combination, or you might be able to slow it down 2 or 3 tenths, depending on who you are. Okay, so and welcome to everybody for joining in. Crystal Ferguson, hey, how you doing, huh? So you got the combination, you got the cast of characters, and the next is the competitive calculation. Remember, x minus y equals z. That's the formula. So x that's your number. Y is the combination plus the combination. How you figure out y is you do the combination plus the cast of characters. Those two things will tell you about how fast this particular car can go. You got a 650 combination. You got a bunch of guys around the car that can help the car or hurt the car. Okay, let's say these guys make the car a 640 car because they're pretty sharp. They know what they're doing. So now he got a 640 car. If you got a 640 car, no brainer, it's a heads up job. If you have a 630 car, 620 car, okay, maybe the back tire, maybe the one is due, maybe. Now the third part is coming up. You got to convince the other guy that that's a good race for him as well. The competitive calculation, right? And the mystery part is how you get the guy, how you push the fucking button, how you make the guy say yes. We'll talk about that later, but right now, this is just some basic stuff, like I said, but this is what you have to do. And again, it goes back to gambling. You have to know how to gamble. Good gambling is, every gambler knows, you win some, you lose some. Nobody wins them all. And if you take that approach to gambling, you won't be afraid to lose a little money. You bet with your head, not with your heart. You bet with your head, not with your heart. If you take that approach to gambling, you won't be afraid to lose, because you know you ain't betting your rent money, number one, and you know that you can't win them all. So if you prepared for the loss as well as the win, you're okay. You going out to have some fun. It's going to be a good memory either way. It's a good memory if you win. It's a good memory if you lose. You know, nobody wants to lose, obviously, but it's not the end of the world if you lose, if you are a gambler, if you know how to make a good gamble. A good gamble is, as long as I had a chance to win. Now, but again, with Grudge, it's about trickery and deception. So sometimes you get tricked, but you can't be afraid of that. You can't be afraid of that. You know, you pay for your mistakes in life. You pay for your mistakes. You might underestimate or overestimate somebody, but you pay for your mistakes, and that's okay, because you win some, you lose some. Sometimes you guess right, sometimes you guess wrong. You win when you guess right, you lose when you guess wrong. Okay, so we got the combination, we got to calculate the cast of characters, okay, and then you decide on what the spot is. You calculate the spot. The difference between my car and his car, ET-wise, you got to know what the brake will give you, 3 to 5 tenths. You got to know what the back tire give you, a tenth, and the clear give you the tenth. Back tire is not exactly a tenth, but close enough. But the point of the matter is, based on those calculations, that information, you should not be afraid. You should be able to figure out anybody's combination. You look at the car and say stock style suspension. It's got a small block, stock block, whatever, all steel, all glass. Okay, you know what those guys can go. Now I'm telling you some basic stuff, but the problem is that when you start doing calculation of how you race, guys start stipping and they start saying, oh, if you got this, and this, you got to have a small block, you got to have stock block, you got to have 28, you got to have one system, and you can't have turbo, and you can't have no Lexan, and so got to drive, and this, that. Then you start drag racing. That's not grudge racing. That's not grudge racing. I'm trying to be as helpful as I can, but as yeah, the game is to be sold, not told. I want to give you everything, but I want to give you the basics. I don't want guys to be afraid. Guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and step right up, ask whatever questions you might have. You know, if you ask me something, I'll tell you. But but what I'm saying to you is that those are the basics of doing grudge math. You know, it's not about stipping that we have all the same things and whoever can go the fastest sitting like this. Sit like me racing is not grudge racing, not at all. Okay, so guys, have any questions? I'm here. Feel free to ask. You can ask anything you like. If not, that's just episode 3. I mean, a lot of guys were asking for this episode, episode 4 of Mama Smell Them Funky Ribs, how to do grudge math. Okay. In the next episode, we'll talk about gambling a little bit, and we'll talk about the mystery a little bit. We'll talk about how to get the guy to say yes, how to push the fucking button. The next episode, we'll talk about how to push the fucking button. You know, that's really important. After you calculate all this stuff, after you say, this is how we should race to make it fair for both sides. And again, the calculation can't be just in your favor. That's not a good gamble. You know, why would I get in the ring and wrestle a 300-pound man? That's not a good gamble on my. Why would I bet I can pin him or bet that he can pin me? That's not a good gamble on my part. It's not a good gamble. Now, if he could only use one hand, he had to tie one hand behind his back, then that might be a good gamble, you see, on my part. But at the end of the day, so Joe, when you give someone the back tire and the brake, you have to see the tire wrinkle, right? Wow. Listen, there's a lot of guys that do it a lot of ways. Sometimes when you give the guy the brake, you look at the wrinkle of the tire. You know, well, let me explain what you do. Okay, here's what you do. You go to any tape of anybody racing, and you get a side view of the car leaving. And what you do is you see which part of the car is most prominent, which is most visible. What can you see the best? Can you see the tire wrinkle, or can you see the body move? Can you see the body transfer? Can you see the front lift up? Can you see the guy let his finger go? Whatever you're looking for, it's totally up to you inside the car. That is one way some people have said do it, but when you guys have on drag radials don't wrinkle up a lot. So, you know, you might want to recalculate that that theory. But if you guys got on the slicks, that might be one way to do it. All right, guys. I fulfilled my part of the bargain. Guys, got any more? That's a great question, Bat Boy Racing. That's a great question. You can look at a lot of different things to see what a guy is, and that strategy, what to look for. That's what you and your team should discuss, or you as a driver will get better at as time goes on. This time you might look at one thing, next time you might look at another. But that's just the idea of living and learning, or racing and learning at the end of the day. But the bigger thing is to know how to make the gamble good for both sides. How to make the gamble good for both sides. That's what grudging is all about, making a good gamble for both sides. It's not the clear is when which car gets to the finish line. The clear is that the back bumper of the first car, back bumper has to cross the finish line before the front bumper of the other car gets to the finish line. Now, where you say the finish line is, there's some debate. But the clear is you're going down the track, finish line, when you get to the finish line, now there's daylight. As long as there's daylight, when you cross the finish line, the front car wins. If they cross the finish line like this, the back car wins. So that's what the clear is all about. No doubt, Doctor. No doubt. Brian Napier, thank you very much for the question. Definitely appreciate you. But the idea is to know that the clear is going to make the race competitive. It's going to be a good gamble for both sides. And that's what it's all about. I mean, guys sitting up and saying another car with the same combination as they have, they're saying, oh, give me the brake. Really? Well, why should I see? Now that's what's called fake ass racing. I'm gonna talk about do a whole section on how to recognize fake ass races and not waste your time with them. Because fake ass races will have you chasing them down rabbit holes that you get your head bit off if you go down those rabbit holes chasing the fake ass races. They just they just they don't really want to race. What they want to do is they want to talk about racing. They want to be in the conversation. They want to be relevant. But we'll talk all about fake ass races. But the ideal in doing grudge math is to be able to figure out the combination of one guy. Once you know his combination, figure out his basic ET. After his basic ET, then you figure out what the guys around the car, the cast of characters, what they can do with it. Can they take the ET and slow it down because they don't know what the hell they're doing? Or would they take their ET and speed it up, make it a little bit faster because they got some good resources and they got some good knowledge and some good people on that side? So when is the first car hits the line of the second car? The bumper of the first car crosses, does it have to be in the steps when it's set up? Brian, that's a good question. I would absolutely, I mean, some things are understood. Like me, if you ask me the DP man, and you ask me to go call the clear, I call the clear on the finish line, exactly on the 660 or the quarter mile if that's where you're going to. But other guys, they stand 15 feet back. You have to know who your DP man is, and you guys have to tell me. And I will tell you, I'm going to stand on the finish line. Now, if you guys got it in your steps, you say, no, stand 15 feet back, I'll do that too. I'll do whatever you ask me. But if it's left up to me, I'm going to stand on the finish line because that's where I believe the clear is called, on the finish line, because it's a straight line and there's no ambiguity. There's no, oh, one guy can see it this way, one guy can see it that way. There's a straight line. And you have to have 2 points to make a straight line. When you're standing 15 feet back, there is no straight line, no automatic straight lines that I know about. I mean, there may just arbitrarily be one, maybe, but I don't know about it. And so I like to stand on the finish line so I can be fair to both sides. That's why I stand on the finish line exactly where the finish line is. But if you guys put it in your steps, that's 15 feet back, a car length before the finish line, okay, that's where I'm going to stand as the guy holding the money. Okay. So good question as well. Good question. Good question. But the bigger thing, again, is just make the race competitive to both sides. You got to make it fair. That's how you say, you heard the saying, make it fair. Make it fair. Well, fair means that I can win, you can win. All right, guys. So 7 o'clock, we're going to go ahead and shut it down. Unless you guys got another question, I'll give you a second to type it up. If you do, we'll stay. If not, I will see you Thursday on Smack Talk Live with Pro Stock Joe on Facebook. And we got a new contact number. You can text me or you can call me at 833, the number 4 Pro Joe, PROJOE, 833-4 Pro Joe. So that's our new number. You can text it or you can call it and get up with us about any business, any questions, any news updates, whatever you need. Okay, good deal. Or you can call to buy any of our products or secure any of our services. If you want us to, announce at an event, if you want us to help promote one of your events, whatever. 1-833-4, the number 4, Pro Joe. Okay, I think it's 4. No, it's something. I don't know what it is. Okay, it's 477-6563. 477-833-477-6563, or just easy 833-4 Pro Joe. All right, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We appreciate each and every one of you. We'll see you at the starting line. Pro Stock Joe And now you know what I know.